Okay, so this topic is midpoint and line segment in the plane. So in this case, it's saying find the midpoint M of the line segment joining the points P, which is 5, -7, and Q, which is -7, -3. If you didn't know what midpoint was, you can click on this. It gives you this kind of long definition for any segment AB. M is the midpoint. ABM lies on AB, and AM equals MB. It's really just telling you that M is the midpoint. It's in the middle. So what that means is that the segment AM has to be the same as MB because we're cutting it in half. It's right in the middle. So that's all midpoint means. Line segment, it just means that it's a segment of a line. So a piece of a line, like you can see QP right here, doesn't have arrows going in both directions. It just has two endpoints on it. And then they give you this equation, which I'm going to write over here on the whiteboard area. I'm going to change my size just a little bit. Okay. So make it a little bigger here. So we have x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then we have y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So we write this as a coordinate because in the end, this is actually the coordinate. And where we get x1 and x2 and y1 and y2 is from the actual coordinates that they give us. So the first coordinate will be x1, y1. The second coordinate is x2, y2. So they actually give us a couple coordinates here, and they show them being plugged in here. So they give us P, and they give us Q, and then they show them being plugged in down here. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to write them out. So our first coordinate is P, which is 5, -7, and -7, -3 for Q. So remember, it's xy, xy. Every time, that's how it's laid out. So now we just add the x's, and then we're going to divide by 2, and then we're going to add the y's. We're going to divide by 2. So we have 5 plus -7 divided by 2, comma, and we start our parentheses, because again, this is a coordinate that we're coming up with. And then we're going to do our y, so we have -7 and plus -3. And we're going to divide by 2. Alright, so these two, we have 5 plus -7. They are opposites, so we subtract, and the bigger number decides our sign. So 7 is bigger than 2, so our answer is -2 instead of just 2. And we have divided by 2, comma, -7 plus -3. So they're both negatives. If it was said 7 plus 3, you would just add them together like anything else and you get 10. Same thing when they're both negatives. You just say -10. Be careful about the two negatives. Make a positive rule. That only works in multiplication and division. This is addition. There's an addition sign in between the two, so it doesn't become a positive. So that's why I'm bolding the addition sign here so you can see it's an addition problem. Alright, our last step here is to just simplify. So we have -2 plus 2, and we get -1. And -10 divided by 2, we get 5. So that is exactly what they got on their answer. Okay, so let's click Start. Alright, so we are ready to get started. I'm going to show you a different method. This is the way that I do it. So first I'll write out the equation, the way that they intended you to use it. So you have x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So this is the midpoint equation. The way that I do it is I actually stack the two coordinates on top of each other like this. So here's point C and point D. And then here are the x's and here are the y's. And I just add them straight down. So I'm adding the y's. So I have -2 plus -8. If it was 2 plus 8, you would just simply say 10, but it's two negatives. Again, it's not two negatives make a positive because we're not multiplying. So instead we just keep the negative sign. And then we have comma, negative 6 plus 8. These are opposites. So negative 6 plus 8. We subtract, and the bigger number decides our sign. 8 is bigger than 6, so we have a positive 2. So doing it this way, I've done my addition. Now I'm going to divide by 2 for each one. So I get negative 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my coordinate on this is negative 5, 1. Okay, so we're checking it, and yay, we got that one correct. So I'm going to show you the same problem, plugging it into the equation real quick. So I just want to show you, gotta fix my page real quick. Alright, that way it's nice and straight. Alright, so here's the equation again, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So I'm just redoing this exact same one in the equation so you can see it. So we have negative 2 and negative 6 for point C, and negative 8 and 8 for point D. So I'm going to plug them in. So I have x and y, x and y. So remember, for our first part, we're going to add the x's together. So we end up with negative 2 and negative 8. So there's negative 2 plus negative 8, and we divide by 2, comma. Now we're going to add the y's together. So we end up with negative 6 plus 8 divided by 2. Alright, so this is our beginning of our coordinate here. So we have negative 2 plus negative 8. Again, if it was 2 plus 8, you would just say 10, but there's a negative with them, so it's negative 10 because they're both negatives. Again, not two negatives make a positive. We're adding on this one. And then negative 6 plus 8, we subtract. The bigger number decides the sign. 8 is bigger than 6, so it is a positive 2. And then we've divided by 2. Alright, last step, we're actually going to divide. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we got exactly the same result either way. For whatever reason, I feel like stacking them is a little cleaner, so I tend to stack them. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and go to the next problem. Let's get next. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stack them, just starting out this way. So I have 4, 3 for my point Q, and I have negative 2, 7 for point P and point Q. I said that backwards. And we're just going to add straight down. So we're adding our x's. 4 minus 2, we're going to subtract, and we get 2. It's positive 2 because 4 is bigger. And our bigger number always decides our sign when we're doing addition and subtraction. So we don't see the plus sign there, but it does actually mean the plus sign is there. Okay, so then we go 3 plus 7. There shouldn't be any issues with this one. It's just two positives, so we're just adding them together. Alright, so the main thing you have to remember on this one is make sure to divide by 2. That's your last step here. So 2 divided by 2, we get 1. And 10 divided by 2, we get 5. Alright, so we are going to put this in and check. So yay!